Hello there, and welcome to the I Never Knew podcast, also known as Inc. This show dives into the life experiences of people who have been through it all and have come through the other side stronger, better, and triumphant. Each story is raw, authentic, and, at times, heartbreaking. One thing joins it all together: the fact that the stories can help the listener learn and grow. Hosted by life coach Maureen, she sits down each episode with a new guest who will empower the listener to set out on their self-discovery journey and start to heal. Now you'll be joined by Maureen and her special guest. Please enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Hi, listeners. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whichever time you are listening. We're happy that you're here, as always. I am Maureen Scanlon, your host and life coach Maureen, as most of you know me. I am, once again, so thrilled and still in awe, will always be in awe of the people that come across my path. Today's guest is no exception. I knew it from the start when I read her message on Matchmaker where we found each other. I went, oh God, I got to know her. I've got to know her. So we're going to dive in today. Make sure that you guys hit that follow button and send in those reviews. Go to my lifecoachmaureen.com for contact information if you have any comments about our beautiful guest and any subject matter you want me to cover, or just to say hello, or if you want to be a guest. So I welcome everything as long as we have a positive aura about it. Okay. All right. So today, you're not going to believe, first of all, how gorgeous she is. Her name is Raquel Herring. And her story is so cool. And we have a celebrity amongst us. I'm just saying, especially my generation. So all of you that are Gen Xers, you're going to love this. So her life has been a tapestry of resilience, triumph, and navigating through life's toughest storms. From her early days as a Disney Mouseketeer on the 90s iconic hit TV show, the all-new Mickey Mouse Club, and national award-winning vocalist from the American Idol of the 80s, Ed McMahon's Star Search. Now, I know y'all remember it because I think Justin Timberlake was on there, and I think, was it Ryan Gosling? I cannot. Yeah. See, I know. So this is really super cool. She speaks to the highs and the lows of the entertainment industry, marriage, prison, and redemption. Her story encapsulates the essence of resilience and perseverance. And you're here on this podcast because you're here for it, and I am here for it. So welcome, my beautiful fellow plant mama, Raquel Herring.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Maureen.
I love it. I'm so honored. So here at I Never Knew, we talk about, of course, the story of resilience and where we all kind of reached a point in our lives where I call the knee story. We were on our knees going, man, this just isn't working, or this is just overwhelming. This is so much. I'm not doing something right. So let's start with your resilience story and your knee story. Tell us, I know there's some more than one, I'm certain, but what stands out for you as a knee story?
Wow. When I was going through my failing marriage, that's my knee story. I just couldn't believe what was happening. And I write about all this in my book, Falling Up, The Unstoppable Journey of a Tear, on Amazon.
Yeah.
I have to plug it, right? But I talk about this stuff when my ex-husband I think he just flew the coop. I don't know what happened to him. And then he ends up going to prison, and this changes literally my entire life dynamics. That was my knee story. How am I going to get through this? How am I going to survive it? Because I gave everything to the marriage. I didn't want to leave anything unfinished. I didn't want to leave anything unturned. I wanted to make sure I gave it my all before, having to just walk away. But I think, after the prison, it was just like, okay, this guy, at this point, if you're like going there, I'm not finding this to be very hopeful. So that was my knee story. And getting back to my music, that was my other knee story, because I just didn't feel like music was really happening for me. And that's my gifting. And it just wasn't happening. And I kind of just wanted to stop, but I couldn't. It's like, well, I can't say, I don't have the experience of being pregnant, but I know that's what a lot of people like use your dreams as. But I could tell you, I felt like if I didn't release music, if I didn't allow it to come through me, I was going to burst. I could not get comfortable. I could not live like peacefully. It was just like, if I don't do it and just let it come out, I'm not going to be able to just survive here. So that was like, I remember in my living room getting on my knees and saying, okay, Lord, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Just help me write my songs, help me do what I need to do, own my stuff, and, accomplish the things I'd like to accomplish with it. Of course, I'm trying to make deals, but, you can't really deal with God, but
Right.
I was trying. I was trying Abraham,
Yeah.
Why not? So, but he doesn't deal like that. But anyway, with me in some cases, but it came through, and it was amazing because I had been with record labels, signed as an artist with Universal and Warner Brothers, and nothing was coming out. But maybe because now I had some life experience to really talk about something, it all came out. And I wasn't talking about those things, but it was just the glory of God, the saving of the word, it was interesting. I was in church the other day, and I can't remember the scripture, but it was about, God reaching out his hand and pulling in his arm, extending his arm, reaching out his hand or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should have written it down. I'm sure I did. But I'm like, that's so me. Why don't I know this scripture by heart? Because it's exactly what happened. So, yeah. So I have two, and I probably have some more of these stories, but those are the two that just like fire off.
Yeah, no, they were definitely the two things that changed the trajectory of your life. And, coming from someone who is twice divorced, and my first marriage, there was domestic violence, and I had lost myself, and I was very young, of course. And none of my dreams mattered. None of what I wanted mattered. And I'm sort of hearing that with you and with him just disappearing. I want to know, like, were you like me, sort of in our own little la la land? Like, this stuff can't be happening. Like, I'm chasing love. I'm doing everything I can to make this man love me. I'm doing everything right. There's no way this is going to happen. And for me, putting up with the abuse was one thing, but when I found out he was cheating, for me, that was a turning point. It was like, why that was my line in the sand. I tell everyone, because if I left during the abuse, then I carried the shame. But if I left because he cheated, he carried the shame. So as it led up to your husband going to prison, like, what did you know and what didn't you know before this happened?
Well, I knew he had been cheating. And what interesting is that when I found out for sure, I just felt like I didn't want to close the door on this, because I didn't feel like he was the only one responsible for the breakdown. He was the only one responsible for that decision. Yeah. But he wasn't the only one responsible for the breakdown. I think we both had parts in it. So in my mind, it was like, okay, things I said, things you say can really be impactful. And I think from just being a long line of saying things that aren't helpful, I think it was from both ends for so long, right? From like his bringing up and my bringing up, that's how you think you deal with things. And like, like force people and be like, well, you're not doing it because, and then trying, I guess, intimidating with words or whatever. So that's why I stayed, because I know a lot of people, why did you stay when you knew this, right? But he kept doing it. So I'm thinking at this point, we're coming together, but at that point, he was far gone when I thought that we should be able to come together now, just put everything out on the table. Let's just be forgiving, because I loved him. That's when I found out, oh my gosh, I really love this guy. But then he went farther with this. He began to force people. And once he got into that, that's what got him into prison. And I didn't know until it's now time for what's going on. Like, I had no idea. Like, I told him before he was going to take a business trip, don't do it. Don't take this business trip, because whatever you have planned, it's not going to work. That's because I got that in my spirit, right? I had no idea what to expect. He came back from his business trip, no issues. However, there was an issue that I never knew about, because there was an indictment that had already transpired. I had no clue until the day before, when someone told us to expect the marshals. What?
Wow.
What the heck is that? Right? I didn't even know, what does a marshal even do? But well, they do quite a bit. So yeah. And they came the next morning to arrest him and transport him back across state lines to where the incident happened. And yeah, this is how I found out that he had been forcing young girls, and one in particular decided to say something. Some other people came forward, but with this particular girl, it went a lot farther than just, making someone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
and good for her for speaking up to bring that justice.
That's right.
And I listened to your story, and I think, a lot of times we didn't realize it, but, we were being gaslighted when you say, I had parts in my marriage as well. I had to acknowledge, my failures and, my lack of whatever it was that I wasn't doing. But I know it had to be like tenfold for you too, because we get gaslit saying, well, if you wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do this. And right. Yeah. And so when I hear you say, well, I had to give it my all and I had to own what I did, a lot of times when you're in situations with people that have, these types of personality types, whether they're, narcissists or just, just abuse, you know what I mean? Like, I think we do put it back on ourselves. And if you hadn't had a very good, I didn't have really good examples as far as what a relationship or a marriage should look like. I took it all on myself. My mother, bless her heart, was just very subservient to my father. And so I really thought that's what I have to do. And I was young. I was 19 when I got married, for crying out loud. So I hear that in you, where I was the same way. I was like, I'm going to give it my all. And then you'd get the sorries and I'll get help and I'll do that. And so you think, well, I can't give up on him. I'm here to save him. And when you have sort of these empathetic or empathic personalities, you're like, I can fix them. I can take care of all this. What I want to know is, when we talk about the music, did you find that when you were in sort of that marriage that really wasn't serving you well and wasn't, definitely where you were meant to be, maybe at the time, as I always say, nothing's wasted, it's experience. But did you feel like you couldn't be you? And then once you were out of the marriage, did you just go, man, this passion, this life, this thing that's in me, the music, I need this for me? And was it super healing for you, or was it a journey to, I have to do this music so I can heal? What do you think?
Good question. Well, it started before him. So yeah, that kind of started in my teens, probably about, 18, 19, 20. Well, that's not in my teens, but it kind of started around there, where I didn't feel like, sometimes words are spoken to you and you don't really think you're going to take it so deeply. And I don't think it was meant to cut deep, but it did. And it cost me a lot of confidence in myself, in my abilities. I think he was really trying to help me, but initially, but because of the hurt, the depth of the hurt, I just couldn't get past it. So that was a great big part of it. I don't think it was like I couldn't be myself. I could be myself. I felt like when I'm not doing music, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, because it just brought up too many things of me. I mean, when you've worked with someone for so long, and then at some point that person who was like, who championed you now says something, that's the only person in your life that you trust. And then they say something about your gifts and your talents to me, I say tear it down. Perhaps that wasn't the motive or wasn't really what they were trying to do, but it did happen. So it made me question everything. Am I singing this right? Am I doing this right? Does this sound right? How does it sound to that person? So every time I'm just like questioning. Plus I'm growing up, I'm becoming an adult. How am I dealing with that? So when all those things are said that are not, that are opposite of someone in your corner, yeah, it really takes a toll. And that's what it did. So getting with him, it only like made it worse, because now here's this guy in the picture, and I've been with you all this time, and now here you're with this guy, and now that's a problem. So everything becomes a problem, and everything is being magnified and polarized as nothing but a problem all the time. And then maybe there's some good things that are said, but then something comes right back behind that and tears it back down. So you're never really able to get any footing. You're never really being able to get on solid ground with yourself, because there's always an upheaval. So yeah, that wasn't him. But
that's such a shining example of how we look for that outside validation. Yes. You knew you were talented. You knew that you were, absolutely amazing, and you had this purpose, and you had this joy for music within you. Yeah. And I wrote down, if you see me looking away, I'm writing down some things that you're saying and what you said. And I think it's going to be the title of your episode is, it wasn't meant to cut deep, but it did. And yeah. I love that, because in line with being a plant mama, those are seeds that are planted, and we water whatever seeds they are, whether they are negative or whether they are positive. And poof, I'm such an advocate for speaking positive to your children and letting them know they're free to be who they are, and we accept them for who they are, because those are the seeds we want to water. But many of us were raised in homes where the other seeds were watered, the ones that, eventually turned diseased or root rot. So literally, I love what you said, but you pursued. And what I love is, I want to know, how did the career with getting into the Mickey Mouse Club start, and then getting on Star Search? When did you discover, like, you were young, because Star Search, I mean, you had to be a younger talent. When did you feel, I always say, like at 6 or 7, I remember swinging. My grandparents lived on the grounds of a church they took care of, and I would swing, and I would have these profound, I'm made for great things kind of thoughts at 6 or 7 years old, maybe even 5. And I know when people have a passion, they can remember back when they realized, I want to do this thing. So when did yours start, and how did it progress to being a celebrity?
Well, mine started because my cousin heard me sing. So my mom was having a party. My cousin heard me sing. I used to sing Our Love by Natalie Cole. That was like my song, right? And my mom was like, you had been singing that song since like 3 years old. You've been singing that song. So my cousin heard me sing. And then my cousin just went to my mom, was like, oh my gosh, she can sing. And my mom was like, My mom's not like the type of person that's gonna like talk her kid up if there's nothing like really to talk up, right? She's like, there better be something to talk up, right? So so when she heard me, she was like, okay, well, maybe we have something. She wasn't really sure. But I think once my cousin kept working with me and teaching me different songs like Liza Minnelli, Blue Moon, and Melissa Manchester, and different singers, Aretha Franklin, and just everybody, like she was bringing everybody to me to learn and to hear and to like develop my own thing. And so once my mom caught on to that, my mom was like, we're off. And she was doing it all. She was making sure that, I was in everything to help build that. My cousin was a pageant participant, a pageant winner. So she got me on a pageant to sing as a guest singer. And I sung And I Am Telling You, and by Jennifer Holliday. And the audience went bananas, right? When I dropped to my knees on a part of the song, they were like, oh my gosh. And they all like stood up. So I think probably at that moment, I was like, maybe I have something. And so with my mom, like, we have something here. Because my mom would teach me all like the words, what they mean, performance, my cousin would too. So they both like, tag teamed to make sure that, I knew what I was doing. And from there on, my mom was like the full force. My mom got me on Star Search, at the time, when Star Search was on, they had the auditions. So they like sent a tape in, and so my mom recorded it, sent the tape in. And yeah, we got that call to come in and audition. And yeah, I was on there for like the whole season. And so that was nice. Like 8 consecutive shows I won. There was 10 shows. I won like 8 consecutive. Then I won the final Best Teen Vocalist, and then it was Best Teen Performer was the final title. And so, yeah. And then we heard about the Mickey Mouse Club. My mom heard about the auditions for that. And then we went to Orlando and we got booked for the Mickey Mouse Club. So yeah, my mom was on top of it. Yep.
She embraced it. She's like, I'm not supporting anything till I know you're good. And then she was
That's right.
Then she was like full on stage mom. I love that. Then she's like, oh, okay, now we got this. Okay. I had to know for sure. I love that so much.
Exactly.
Now I have a fantastic client who was a child star. In fact, she's the youngest recipient of a platinum record from Sony Records.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's
awesome.
Absolutely amazing. But one of the things that we talk about often is, you can develop this perfectionism mentality when you're a child star. It can be, and we've heard it of like Gary Coleman and people who've ended up with really bad, Danny Bonaducci, they end up in really bad situations from being these child stars. Did you or do you recognize that some of it led to perfectionism or led to some self-confidence issues? Because I'm sure you had cousin and mom going, you got to do this, you got to be this, you got to look like this, you got to do this, your weight, your, all of that stuff. Does that still today sort of, do you find that creep up a little bit time to time?
In myself? Absolutely. It's hard to let go of those things because they're so instilled in you. Perfectionism, oh my goodness. And I'm the type of perfectionist, if I can't do it perfect, then I don't want to do it. And I think that happened with my singing. If I can't do it perfect, I'm not going to do it. But what's perfect, right? So I'm really, it has taken me some time. I still have it, especially when it comes to my singing, questioning. And I'm trying to learn to stop questioning so much, because it's hurt me, I do find it creeping up. Like my acting, I don't question it as much, but when it's my singing, oh my gosh. And I have to force myself past it to just say, it doesn't matter. I don't care what happens on that stage. You're going to sing it anyway. Like I gotta be that. It doesn't matter.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's so crucial. And thank you so much for validating that, because listeners that are like, oh my God, she was on TV in the Mickey Mouse Club and, her singing and she's amazing. But we still all have those things, no matter how successful we get, that we still have those things in that programming, those seeds that started so young. Sometimes we've got to give it different fertilizer over here in our adulthood.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons that I love coaching so much, because people don't even recognize it. It's like this subconscious thing that it's just a part of who I am. And I love that you said I have to stop caring so much. And, when you said, oh, I love this so much. If I can't do it perfectly, I'm not doing it at all. That is one of the biggest roadblocks and resistance that I hear people say, because we have not only what we think other people expect, but we have these unattainable expectations, and we're forgetting we're doing this because we're passionate about it and it's fun, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. I forgot about that long ago. Like once, like I'm saying, out of the teens and having all those issues, I forgot about it being fun. It had just become like so much pressure, so much. And if I didn't do it right, oh my gosh, what's right? If I think the worst thing is when I was told, well, I put it in my book, but
no, give us a teaser. Give us a teaser. We want to know. Yeah.
Well, like you don't sing like you used to. I don't get the feelings that I used to get, but I think it was the way it was said and the words didn't help. And every time I just could not be pleasing. I could not be pleased, no matter how I sung, no matter what I do. And then I just started feeling like I was just this person to just sing. There's nothing else really about me. But, when people are around, sing, like I should just do the song and dance on cue. And I think that started to really affect me and started to be hurtful, because who am I? I'm more than that.
Yeah.
And
it became your identity, and you lost like the self-worth of everything else that is you, the whole aura of everything else that you are. Like you're just some circus animal over here performing when people want you to perform, but you're more than that. And that is hard. And you know what it just popped into my head. I think it stops being fun when money starts getting involved, because I think we end up with those expectations. And I know for me, I've had to drill back a lot of times, and I do a lot of stuff for free. The podcasting is for free. My books don't sell millions of copies yet, but the life coaching, sometimes I just do it to help people, my friends, my family. And I think when you get money involved, sometimes it steals the joy of doing it. And what I want to say that I love you, Emanate, is if you would do it without being paid, then you're in your ikigai, you're in your purpose, you're in what you should be doing, and hold on to the joy of that, even though the world says Maureen's not a millionaire, or, Maureen is not Tony Robbins making $1 million a session. It's that comparison and validation that we look for from the world. But we have to staying in that joy and forget about the money. The abundance comes. The abundance and success come. So we lost in that, don't you think?
Yeah, I really do, because then it becomes so serious. We can't have fun anymore. But I mean, I had fun for a long time. And I think in my case, it became more personal as opposed to money. It's like the personal of it is what really started breaking things down.
Okay.
So then at that point, when it came to the money, I felt like I couldn't perform. I couldn't get there. So then it becomes more disappointing.
Yeah.
And then, because of the confidence, people who know my gifting is like, what's going on with her? Why isn't she doing? But I'm like, it's crazy to me, because I'm like, you guys are adults. You never thought that maybe I'm dealing with self-confidence. I'm growing up. You never had a clue that maybe I'm dealing with things. I started this as a kid. I'm coming out of my teens into adulthood. Like, it never occurred to an adult that maybe she's having some feelings. She needs some kind of help with confidence and self-esteem. It never, and then how when you're coming out of that, you don't really know yourself. You don't know how to really articulate your feelings because you haven't become that introspective person yet, or to monitor, right? So it's like when I was writing my book, it came to me, how come no one ever like questioned, why didn't someone ask me what's going on? How can I help you? I mean, professionally, everyone tried to put it off on, my ex-husband. It's him. It's this, that. It's all these things, but no one. It's crazy to me. I pray that I won't be uninsightful with other people, especially those that are younger than me. I pray that my experiences have caused me to be insightful, that I will be able to recognize from someone else, perhaps coming out of their teens into adulthood, learning, trying to figure out who they are. Who are they outside of music? Who are they outside of acting? Who are they, just as this new adult trying to learn about life and have experiences and trying not to make the mistakes. Hopefully I will have better insight than a lot of the adults that were around me.
Yeah, and no disrespect to, your people around you, but they got caught up in the success piece of it, the money piece of it, and they forgot to check in with the person behind all of that. Yeah. And I'm parenting 2.0 right now. We have guardianship of my grandson who's 16, and I'm doing it a hell of a lot better than I did it the first round. And I love my children and they all turned out fantastic. But it's so funny when he first came to us, and listeners have heard this story. I walked into his room and I said, is there anything, you want to talk about? And he got this look of fear because his upbringing was very traumatic. And he said, why? Did I do something wrong? And I said, no, I was just wondering if there's anything you want to talk about. What's going on? Yeah. And he was like, no one's ever asked me that. Broke my heart. This was, 2 years ago. And it was my realization too. Gosh, did I really do that with my kids? They say that I did, but I'm so much more aware now in today's world. And him going to college or opening a plant nursery in Texas, I don't care either. Whatever you want to do. He's a musician. He plays the drums. But you are absolutely right. It's look at the person, not just, the surface stuff of what they're doing. I think everybody has a book in them. And I think writing is the most healing thing ever. I've written. It is. I know. I wrote 2 books plus a children's book. And that first book was strictly just channeled, like, get this shit out of there. I got to get it all out. Just blah. And it was like so channeled that when my husband edited it and gave it back to me and I was reading it, I was like, did you add something? And he's like, no. I go, I wrote that. So it was just, did you find with your memoir, it was just like, that word vomit, like the feelings, and just, even though we had to relive some of that stuff, it was so cathartic to be like, other people are going to need this. Other people are going to hear this story. And wasn't it fun? I didn't think I'd be a writer. Was.
I mean, I wrote it like 3 or 4 times. So,
love it.
You're writing all this stuff down. Then you go back over it and be like, okay, well, not like I thought it was ready. And then an editor reads it and is like, this isn't ready. And I'm like, what do you mean? So then I wait some time, about a year or so, right? Then I go back over it again. Oh, it's ready now. It's ready. No, it's not ready. What? So I wait about another year or so again. I got other things to do. So like the third time I was like, no, I'm going to get this done this time. Like I'm going to do it. And then it was good because through that time I can see growth. So every time I started to write, I can see my own growth in there, my maturing to say the things that are not bitter, that are not angering, but stories that's going to help other people, and the way you say, the way you write the stories that are going to help other people, because that's the point in writing books, it's not just about us. If other people are going to read it and you want people to be inspired, you want when people leave that book to say, wow, What an incredible story. If she could do it, I can do it too. If that could happen to her and she can rise above it, I can too. You know, I didn't, or they're able to say, I didn't know she had the same experience I had. How did she get through it? And to be like, yeah, you know, I think it helps other people have strength, just like we get strength off other people's books and experiences and their stories. So yeah, I saw a lot of stuff I had to face because it makes you be introspective. It makes you look at you instead of like, and I think that's the book that changes other people, the one that makes you look at you so you can take note about who you were and now who you've become through those experiences.
I love it. And I call it the emotional experience conversion to wisdom for others. You know,
that's good.
And it really is. And it is hard to be an author, especially of a memoir, and myself, a nonfiction about things I had experienced, because we had to be vulnerable, and being vulnerable and telling our story and worrying what other people are going to think about it is, you got to get past that and say, it's for the greater good of the world. And I'm willing to risk whatever reactions other people have that make them uncomfortable. I heard something, if you don't like what you're reading, you should have behaved better. And that sort of right? That sort of helped me get past some of the stuff that I was writing about my personal experiences. But yes, no, I love so much all of that. And I think everyone's got a book in them, whether you publish it or not. And you are the world's most patient person ever, because I literally wrote my book and published it within 8 weeks. I was like,
good for you.
I was like, we're gonna like it. Just like I said, when I had so much to get out. I had 45 years to get 48 years of crap to get out, and it ended up being absolutely wonderful. So awesome. Let's talk about where to find your book, where to find you, what you're doing today. Let's just put the spotlight on you and where we can find you, what you have coming up, all this good stuff, because this is your moment to shine on I Never Knew.
Okay, well, my book is called Falling Up, The Unstoppable Journey of a Tear. You can find it on Amazon and soon in all other online retailers and offline retailers. I'm working on it. Yes. So, I have a skincare line called Envy Luxury Exclusive that I want to keep broadening my line and to move into other things that are dealing with not just luxury, but affordable things that should be affordable, that are organic and natural, and that makes us feel good. And not just on the outside, because that's why I call it skincare and not beauty, because, you know, beauty should be on the inside and it should come through. It should emanate from the inside, right? So that's why I call it the skincare.
I love it. Where do we find that? Where do we find your skincare line?
NV, the letter NV, luxuryexclusive.com.
Got it. And I'll have all
working on
of
getting
these
in the stores. I'm sorry?
I'll have all of these on your show notes too. So this is if my skin can look like yours, I need like one of everything, because
God, thank you.
The aging woman, it is definitely a struggle, but my God, your skin is fantastic. So listeners, if you're not watching on YouTube, holy moly, go check out her skincare line, nvluxuryexclusive.com. And then we've got her Falling Up memoir, so find that on Amazon. And what else do you have? Do you have a website where we can go check you out?
I do. It's Raquel Herring, RaquelHerring.com. Yep.
Fantastic. And you're on Instagram, Facebook, and all those fun places, right?
I am. Yeah. You can get me on Instagram at MY, that's my _ ROQUE Rocky.com. I mean, Instagram. Yeah. And that's the same thing on TikTok. I'm trying to use TikTok more. So it's my Rocky, the same thing, one, because someone already took my Rocky. Can you believe that? So I had to say one.
My Rocky one. I like it a lot. And we're going to connect on all social media too. So
good.
everyone that is my audience will also be able to find Raquel. So as we close up, and again, I knew this was aligned. I knew we had all of those same thoughts, feelings, and all of those inspirations. And that's why we're here. We appreciate how beautiful and how talented you are, but most of all, we appreciate what you're doing to, spread the word, pay it forward, and help others in this world. Because that's really what we're here for, is for helping our fellow humans and spread love and compassion and kindness. So that's what we weigh heavily on. But before we go, I have a little segment, because we always talk about kind of heavy stuff. I like to lighten it up. And this little segment is called What'd You Get? And this is, say, since Christmas just passed, or birthdays or whatever, what is a gift that stands out to you that was like, fun, crazy, weird, or just memorable? Do you have anything that kind of stands out for you?
Yes, my mom and I were shopping and she bought me this lamp. Now, usually a lamp, what's the big deal about the lamp, right? But it is I love lighting it up every night, because it's like this, well, we're into flowers and plants, right? So it's this crystal lamp, pretty tall, about, I don't know, taller than me, but it spirals around, and it looks like little flowers, like rosebuds with lights in them that go around the pole like that. And I just love that lamp. I have to light it up every night because I just like to look at it. That's it. That's my favorite gift.
I love it. That's exactly why I do this segment, because there's things that, just kind of speak to us. I'll go to, I love repurposing and saving the planet. So I do a lot of consignment stores and thrift stores.
Oh, awesome.
And so, we're such a wasteful society. And so I like giving things second life. And just recently I went to a thrift store, and my house is kind of a boho eclectic sort of, what would my daughter call it? She calls it boho. Yeah, I think she calls it boho eclectic. So a lot of natural woods, a lot of rattan, and I've got like the gallery wall with the flowers and plants and fun stuff. And I found this little candle holder, and the bottom of it is like wood, and it's teeny tiny. It's only like, yay big, and it looks like a globe. The bottom half is wood, and the top half is like stacked glass. And when you put a little tiny votive candle, because I'm like, I've got wax melts candles, things that light up, everything in my house is like, I have to go through this whole thing every day, like turn this on, turn this on, turn this on. And then before bed, I got to go back and turn everything off. But I love light. I love light, and I love warmth. And this little candle holder with this little stacked glass. I don't know why, but it just brings me so much joy. It's like glittery, and it's the silliest thing that nobody else would pay any attention to, but to give it new life, for it to give me that much joy. It's the Marie Kondo, if it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it. It's seriously, someone did a great job, Marie Kondo, in getting rid of it, because it brought me so much joy. So love it. I love the lamp story. It just makes me so happy. I'm telling you,
little rose petal crystals, like all around. I'm like, I love it. I have to just turn it on. I mean, even if it's just for a few minutes, I have to turn it on to just look at it and just like, wow, I just love that lamp. Yeah.
We all need that. We all need that. Listeners, I want you guys to find something in your home, an object that brings you that much joy when you're feeling, anxious or overwhelmed. Just to look at that thing that brings you that joy, so you can kind of just, bring it down and breathe and just feel good about yourself. So, well, that'll do it for us for today, guys. I am sure everybody absolutely loved Ms. Raquel as much as I did. You guys, you should trust me now. We're in 124 episodes by now, and I do not disappoint. We are all 5 stars, and we have over 20,000 listeners now. So I'm really proud of that. And we're growing. We're gonna get even bigger. This community, because we love, and that's build it, and they will come, and everybody's going to come. So guys, thank you so much for being here this week. And I do have a couple of bonus episodes coming up that you guys are going to love. And let's see, what else do I have? My books. My dog is more enlightened than I am, and my dog is my relationship coach, both available Amazon, Target, Walmart, Barnes and Noble. I'm all about the puppies. And then you all know that I have the doggy boutique, mydogiseverything.net, where I make in my kitchen homemade healthy treats, only 3 ingredients, safe for your puppies. Yep. No preservatives, no xylitol in the peanut butter. We also have some really cool new things. We make scrunchies, and they cover your dog's collar so your dog can change it up like you do. You change your clothes every day. You could change the look of your dog's collar, as well as reversible bandanas with Velcro. So they're very adjustable for every puppy. Tons and tons and tons of stuff on our website. So go to mydogiseverything.net, and I love you all for being here. And don't forget to go give those reviews, give those 5 stars, because that gives us way more exposure to get way more people to build this community. I love you all. So take care of you, take care of others, and most of all, take care of those furry babies. Please make sure to adopt and don't shop. Until next week, we'll talk to you later. Mwah.
Thank you for tuning in to the I Never Knew podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring and educational, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and spread the word. The more people that join the Inc. community, the more it can develop and influence others as we work together for a healthier and brighter future. Until next time.